Well, 2023 has come to an end, and I have to say it was a pretty damn good year for game shows. Although I kind of wish it was on better reasons why it was a damn good year for game shows. Because of the Writers Guild strike and the Screen Actors Guild strike, a lot of game shows filled the void that would normally be filled with scripted television. However, um, a lot of game shows is a blessing and a curse. It's a blessing because fans of the genre get a lot more choice. The bad news is a lot of the choice is usually not that good. So for this year, we've expanded the best, worst, and blandest. Normally it's one best, one worst, one blandest. However, this year it is three best, three worst, but only one blandest because honestly, there weren't that many bland shows that came out this year. So, with that being said, let's get to it. These are the best, worst, and blandest game shows of 2023. Kicking things off with the third best game show of 2023. And when something iconic shuts down, there's loss, there's tragedy, there's sorrow. But from the ashes of it all can something beautiful come from it. So, for me, the third best game show of 2023 is The Price is Right. Now, this past season, season 51, was the last season that was at Television City. They're going through a massive redesign right now of all the studios, and also because ownership changed hands of Television City from CBS to some development firm whose name escapes me right now. Also, this was the last year where that was the last season where Price is Right used pod seating because we were still, well, we still are in the thralls of a pandemic, even though we kind of should still take a lot of precaution because of the growing variants and everything, myself included. I caught it. I caught COVID this year, and I felt like hell. And watching The Price is Right helped me out a lot. Whether it be the new episodes of Drew or watching the Barker era channel on Pluto TV helped me out a lot. But talking about The Price is Right, this year, in the calendar year of 2023, we had a lot of Price is Right at Night specials, and a lot of them were worth watching. I think the Superfan show aired this year, and it was a fantastic show. And not only that, when we got the move to the new studios from Television City to Haven Studios, where a lot of Fremantle shows are taping right now, the vibe came back. Even though it's a smaller audience, Television City had about 260, 300 people could be in that studio audience. I know about 160, 180 can be in the Haven studio audience for Price is Right. But if you're watching it on TV and you're not there, you wouldn't be able to tell. And especially the energy that flowed from having the full studio audience back. It really came alive. Also, I'm not ashamed to admit I like Drew Carey as host. And I think going from the pod audience to the full audience brought him back in a big way. And he's back to his old bubbly self. And I'm happy everything is back. And I know some of the games aren't back yet because they are still trying to figure out how to block everything, especially the bigger games. I don't think Hot Seats come back this year, and that is a huge game. I mean, the set piece is huge, and I don't know how they're gonna fit Hot Seat in Haven Studios, but they're gonna give it a try. I do believe. But either way, I really enjoyed the Prices Right this year, especially the at night specials. And here's to more of them. When it comes to the third worst show of 2023, I might be cheating a little bit, because it's not a national game show, it's more regional. But it's on YouTube, it's available to everybody to see. Um, I can't think of a show that is more zombified than Cash Explosion right now. Now, for those who don't know what Cash Explosion is a lottery game show. There's no contestant search. You don't apply to be a contestant in order to become a contestant. You go to a corner store in Ohio, you scratch off a ticket, and if you get three symbols or something along those lines, you get to be on the show. And the show set has really devolved right now. The set right now used to be beautiful, it used to be a really good set, but now it's just two big screens, an ugly podium, and it just is not pleasant. What also doesn't help is David McCreary as host. I talked about him on his first show, Make Me Famous, Make Me Rich, and how awful he was there. Needless to say, he has not improved after almost 20 years of hosting a show. The co-host that he has is just there. I forget what her name is, but she tries, but it just doesn't work. And they also tinkered with the format again. If you remember back, I want to say 2018, when we had the Game Show Garbage Patrick Wayne Awards, the new double Cash Explosion was a Wayne finalist. And they changed it to where 8 contestants compete, play, but it's more conveyor belt. We meet one contestant, know a little bit about them. They pick three numbers, and they get the money behind them. Then we say goodbye to them. Next person come on, and it's not fun. It's just there, and I don't know what's keeping it on the air. More maybe tradition, more than anything else. But aside from that, I think the show is just a shell. And they did live shows this year, and if you take a look at those live shows that they did at, I think it's some state fair in Ohio, it was dead. I mean, there was no energy radiating from it whatsoever. And I just don't know what else to say except take Ohio Lottery Commission, just take the show off life support. It's not a fun show anymore. The number 2 best show of 2023, I admit, the number 1 and number 2 flip-flop positions so many times in my head. But I gotta give number 2 to Raid the Cage. It was a fun show. I think Steph Curry's son is hosting the show, and he does a pretty. No, it's Steph Curry or Dwayne Wade's son that's hosting the show. I forget which. But Jeannie Mai is the co-host of the show, and she's the correspondent who is just right outside the cage. She hosts when the contestants enter the cage, try to grab as much stuff as they can, try to do as many challenges as they can in order to win prizes. And somebody needs to give her a raise, because as many knocks as she's taken from that show, from contestants just trying to barrel out of there with all these boxes or maybe a boat or something, or an ATV, and I hope she's getting paid a lot of money to do that. The format is also really solid. There's a big wall of answers, kind of like a mini Wonder Wall. The host gives a small statement, and you have to pick the right answer to get time in the cage. And Everything's just done well. The set is, no, it's a good set. I do want to echo one thing is I do wish the set was bigger and the prizes were a bit bigger. But this being the first season and maybe season 2, things will get bigger. I also love the bonus game where if you get $50,000 or more out of the cage, you win. You win. Otherwise, you win bupkis in the end game. It kind of reminds me similar lines to Shop to You Drop's end game. And I am a huge fan of Shop to Drop. As a matter of fact, the whole show is essentially the mall run on Shop to You Drop. So it's a gigantic thumbs up for me. I love Raid the Cage. And hopefully it comes back for season 2. The second worst show of 2023 is obvious. When I say, who the bleep is that? On Twitter, I called it, what the bleep did I just watch? Let's run through the gamut of problems with this show. The format is it's pixelated picture or screwed up picture. It starts to correct, buzzing, give the right answer. It's fine. But that's the entire show. Except for like the bonus game where it's just 2 celebrities and it's a statement given. It kind of reminds me of Starface, if you remember that show. But the biggest problems is everything else with the show. First of all, Jeff Dye is terrible. He is not funny, and off the show, he is a gigantic prick. If you take a look through his Twitter feed, he does troll, but it's more hate baiting more than anything else when it comes to people giving criticisms about his performance on the show. I think one of them said, one comment he responded to, he said, "I'm glad your cat died." Classy. Other than that, the set is non-existent. Just bland, big white screen, bland cityscape. It just doesn't look good, and the buzzer podium for the contestants are just smartphones. That's it. Just smartphones. And it's not fun. The music is bad. The show is just not good. I'm not shocked that it came back for another run of episodes. I don't know if it's airing now, but when it comes to who the bleep is that, just don't watch. There's no enjoyment to be had whatsoever from it. Before we get to the best and worst show of 2023, I'm going to talk about the blandest show of 2023, and that is Superfan. It was on in the dead August of 2023. Hardly anybody watched it. And it was hosted by Nate Burleson and some random singer person thing, I'm a bobber. And the object of this show is you had contestants try to emulate these big stars, and if they do well enough, they win. I guess. Because I saw an episode, it just went in and out. So I tried to look up the format, and I sometimes use Wikipedia to fill in the holes. And if you take a look at the Wikipedia page for Superfan, there is no intro to the format whatsoever. They don't list the games, they don't list anything about it. All that's on the Wikipedia page is a little blurb about what the show is about, the celebrities that appeared on the show for the episodes, and that's it. Now, I'll give them credit. They got some real music stars for this show. LL Cool J, Shania Twain, Gloria Estefan, Pitbull, Little Big Town, and whoever the hell Kelsey Ballerini is. So, they got stars. It's just that nobody cared. And why should I care? If somebody out there isn't dedicated to tell me about the format on the Wikipedia page, then why should anybody else care? Maybe it was so bland that people forgot about the format. I'm pretty sure somebody out there remembers the format. I sure don't. And if you forget a lot of key components about the show, then that truly is a great case for it to be the blandest game show of 2023. My pick for the best show of 2023 is something that tugs at my heartstrings because it's a format that I absolutely love and it's back in full force. It's the revival of Split Second for Game Show Network. It is, to me, the best version of Split Second. Let's talk about John Michael Higgins, the host. Now, before this, he did America Says for over 500 episodes, and he was fantastic on that show. And then he got the call to do Split Second. And the way he went from a light Family Feud clone and being personable with the contestants on that show to something that is a really hard quiz, like one of the hardest quizzes next to Jeopardy. And him being able to be personable there and be able to handle that show well shows off that John Michael Higgins knows what he's doing when it comes to hosting a game show. And if you give him a few more years and maybe another show, whether it be for Game Show Network or maybe something syndicated, I think he could become one of the best modern hosts. Like a host that came along after the year 2000, he's going to be one of the best. And then you get to the Split Second format. They didn't fool around with the format whatsoever except for the bonus game. And they made the best bonus game Split Second ever had because it actually connects with the show itself. Now, for the bonus game, you're given 2 questions to answer and then the main question. You pick one of them, you answer correctly, that's a point. You get 7 correct answers in 60 seconds or less, and you win the GSN box standard grand prize of $10,000. I'm not complaining because even though it is a hard bonus game, although it's not the hardest bonus game GSN has right now that belongs to Switch, which is another really good show, I just think Split Seconds is a lot more fair, and if you miss 1 or 2 questions, you're not gonna be behind the 8 balls what you would be if you got a question wrong after you answered a couple correct on Switch. But getting back to Split Second, I think the set looks gorgeous. I like the red backdrop. Sometimes it has the blue backdrop, and both of them look great. Sure, it's the same stage as a lot of GSN originals have that tape in Los Angeles, but the set is beautiful. I like the theme for Split Second. I like the logo for Split Second. I just can't think of any negative about Split Second whatsoever. Like, I could think of a negative about Raid the Cage, to where I think it would be fair if, going back to Raid the Cage for a little bit, if the host is allowed to read the entire question before the contestant answers. When it comes to Split Second, everything pops up and then the quickness of the buzzer comes in. And I like that format a lot more. So for me personally, Split Second is the best game show of 2023. Now, while Who the Bleep Is That is not a good show whatsoever, at least it was something original. At least tried to be original and failed in all aspects. what really sets you apart to be the worst show of 2023 is that you're an idea that failed before. And then somebody in desperation dusts it off and says, hey, this is a bad show. Let's reboot it. And you make it worse. The worst show of 2023 is Farmer Wants a Wife. This was on the CW in 2008, lasted one season because it was awful. It was rebooted to Fox it was announced in 2022. It aired in March 2023. And then we find out that it's coming back for a second run starting in February 1st, 2024. Glorious. Jennifer Nettles is the host, and whatever. Box standard relationship show host, kinda Chris Harrison without the charm and personality. Before Chris Harrison revealed himself to be a really awful human being. And getting to the show itself, it's Bachelor times 4, countries fried, steak battered, and just horribly stereotypical in every sense of the word. The original one had one farmer with 8 potentials. This one has 4 farmers and about 8 potentials. So it's possible that you could have 4 couples to be really, really short-lived. And that's exactly what happened with this show in the first season. 3 actually made couples. None of them lasted past August of this year. The 4th one was outright rejected. So, kind of a waste of time. At least with the original Bachelor and a lot of dating shows around this time and in the past, at least the couples would have longevity. This one didn't. And it's awful to watch. And we're getting a season 2 of this. I do not know how bad 2024 is going to be for game shows, but it's possible that Farmer Wants a Wife could be the first 2-time worst game show winner of X year. And that is the best, worst, and blandest game shows of 2023. I'd like to thank everybody for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed this expanded version. And what can I say? May 2024 be better for everybody. Give me your opinions on what the best, worst, and blandest game shows of 2024 are. Put them in the comments below. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Share it on all the socials, whether it be Facebook, whether it be Instagram, Threads, Blue Sky, Twitter, Fartbook, I don't know. Maybe the people on Letterkenny are still using Fartbook or iFarts, and maybe they'll share this in all the socials and everything like that. Anyway. Also, if you want to support the channel, we're going to be doing a lot more content in 2024. If you want to help out with that, kick us a few bucks on patreon.com/gameshowgumbo like these wonderful people do. Your name will be right there with the rest of them. I'd like to thank everybody for watching. For Mark Power, I'm Cindy Seidelman, and we will see everybody in 2024 if you're not already watching this in 2024. And if you're watching this in the future, thank you. Hope 2024 was livable, I guess. Adios.